Page 26, Little Playmates. We have some more articulation type stuff. The only articulation we've had so far is connect everything. Like in the phrases, play it smooth. Now they're adding staccato. Look at the first measure. See those two quarter notes have dots above them? That's the staccato. The dot is the staccato sign. And that means play it really, really short. Right? Staccato notes. If the slur weren't there and they were all dotted, it would be that. All, right? Now, different techniques for staccato. I use, to begin with this piece, we use a finger staccato where you're plucking the key. Don't try and go straight down like that. Just pluck it, okay? You can't do it with the thumb because the thumb is sideways. You have to go straight down and up. But with the other fingers, you can pluck it. That's what I recommend. Later on, we'll get into the other kinds of staccato. My teacher used to call it a hot stove note. So, think about it being really, really hot. You're not going to touch it for very long. And that's all they're really doing here. They do have the repeat signs. So let's talk about repeat signs. I don't think we've done those. You see at the very end of the piece, the last measure that down there at the bottom, there's two dots. You got the two lines, a thin and thick line, that mean the end of the piece. And they added two dots. Okay, well, the lines and the dots together, that's a repeat sign. That means go back to the beginning and repeat it all again. Almost. If you look at the beginning of the third line, there is another repeat sign pointing the other direction. We call it a reverse repeat sign because it's reverse direction. So the repeat sign really means go back to the beginning unless there's a reverse repeat sign. Otherwise, you go to the reverse repeat sign and you repeat back. So if the reverse repeat sign at the beginning of the third line were not there, go away. You'd go back and you repeat the whole thing. But since that repeat sign is there, now we're only going to repeat the last two lines. And that's really what it is. Another thing I haven't seen before in here is the dynamics. Now, articulation is how you're playing the notes, like it's smooth or staccato or whatever. Dynamics is louds and softs. I've already talked a little bit in the sense that you bring out the melody, okay? Well, now they've added some dynamics in the music. You see at the beginning of this, there's an MP, stands for mezzo piano, means medium soft, or moderately soft, however you want to do it. Now, exactly how soft that is, I don't know. I don't care. You decide how soft medium soft is, okay? Medium soft is a little louder than soft. Look at the second line, it's got an MF. And MF is mezzo forte, which means medium loud. Well, I don't know how loud it is, but it's louder than medium soft. Not a lot, just a little. Then in the third line, it's got an F. That's forte, that's loud. Now, it's louder than medium loud, but it's not as loud as you can play it because we got a lot louder than that. We can get louder than that. So you have to decide on these how loud you're going to be. What is medium soft? Experiment. And then what is medium loud? And then what's loud? And the last line is back down to medium loud, same as the second line. So you have to decide what that is. Now in the third line down that's loud, it's only loud for two measures. You look over on the third measure of that line, that's a P, that's piano. That means soft. That's softer than medium soft. I mean, that's really soft. So you're going from loud to soft. And you can get softer than that too. So that's not as soft as you can play it, it's just soft. It's a judgment thing. It's not hard and fast. This is always soft. It isn't. In one case it might be soft, in another case it might be very, very soft. Now, here's the kicker. Those dynamics apply to the melody. So that's how loud you're going to play the melody. Everything else has to be under that. No matter how loud or soft the melody is, everything's got to be under it. Now there's a trap here you got to watch out for. As people will get into, well, how soft can I play this? Well, see, at the beginning, they want the melody MP, medium soft, so they'll say, well, how soft can I play this chord? And they'll have that determine how loud to play the melody. Say, well, I can only go this soft, so the melody's got to be louder than that, so here's the melody. Wrong, don't do that. That's backwards. That's a trap, don't. You decide how loud you want to play the melody, whatever it is, and you find a way to get everything else under it. Practice, because there's with a little bit of practice. With a piano, the slower the key goes down, the softer the sound. This is an acoustic piano. I don't know about electronic. You have to experiment. Okay, the faster it goes down, the louder the sound. Now, you can't always use that technique because if it's a really fast piece that's soft, you don't have time to go down slow. You have to go down lightly, okay? But if you're struggling with this, in the left hand, when you have something like this, just push them down a little slower. You don't have to push them, fast down. Push them down slower. Now, one way to do this is instead of coming straight down, let's say this is the key, right? Key here, key. Push it down, push down, yay, okay. Don't wiggle the key. Okay, here we go. And you're pushing it down soft. One way to do that, rather than coming straight down on the key, is to come down at an angle. You can come down at the same speed, but if you do it at an angle, your overall drag down is slower because of the angle. So you can go this way and get it down softer. And loose wrists, this kind of thing. Now, in an acoustic piano, you can actually push it down so slow it won't sound. The hammer won't hit the string. So you got to watch out for that. It's got to hit the string, but very softly. So you're going to practice that. I'm pushing in toward the fall board, and I'm raising the wrist as I'm going in. You can experiment and do it with both hands, or each hand one at a time. Try and see how soft can you really get it. And with a chord, you still got to get them all down at the same time. Maybe you just want to do one note at a time. Something to practice. You can also use this technique when you're practicing the scales. So as you're doing the scale and you're getting bored, try using this technique and see how soft you can play the scale as you're going up, or that type of thing. You can also play the scale staccato and practice your finger staccato where you're plucking it. Now in this piece, the melody is going back and forth between the hands. In the first line, the right hand gets it, but in the second line, the left hand gets it. So that MF applies to the left hand there. Third line, the right hand, and then the fourth line, the left hand again. So it's going back and forth. So whatever it is, the melody gets the dynamic, and the other hand has to get softer. Look at the beginning of this piece. I think up until now, in our grand staff arrangement here, treble clef has always been on the top and bass clef has been on the bottom, but understand there's no rule that says that has to be that way. This is a proof of that. If you look at this, both staves have treble clef. Now this throws me because I get so used to playing bass clef in the left hand, I just read the notes in bass clef. And so I have to struggle with this just a bit. When they put the left hand in treble clef, hopefully you won't have such a problem. Just know that at the beginning of this piece, both hands are in treble clef. We're up here. Actually, in this whole piece, both hands are in treble clef. They could have been both in bass clef. There's no rule on that. It's just whatever the piece needs. Having said all that junk, let's try this out. So in common time or 4/4 time, I'll give us 4 counts and we'll play it. Now when I play it in these videos, I don't do the louds and softs. That's up to you to do, because you decide what those are. I need you to hear the notes. because all we're doing when we play it together is giving you a chance to hear the notes to make sure you're playing the same note I'm playing. Here we go. Hands in positions. 1, 2, ready, and go, and. Repeat.